All right, everybody, we are going to do our training today. We're going to do objection handling, okay? And I'm actually just going to get right into it, you guys. So the biggest thing about objections is trying to eliminate them before they even get there, okay? So I think that at the very beginning of our phone call is where we're going to start to get objections. If that's where you get them, and if you don't overcome them right away, I believe that they're just going to keep coming. Okay. So whatever it is, the very, very beginning of the phone call, whether it's, they don't want to get up and get a pen and paper. They don't want to talk. They're busy. They're doing something. A lot of people answer the phone and say they're busy, but they probably really aren't busy. And next thing you know, 45 minutes later, they're writing policy. So objection and getting rid of the objections early is key to everything. Okay. Now, one of the biggest objections I think a lot of us get is need to think about it. That's one of the biggest things with everything. When you walk into the store and you're trying to look at a big purchase of something else, and the first thing we think in our head, it's just a smoke screen of like, I got to think about it. Because maybe it's because you don't want to pay the price of what it is or whatever it is. But when it comes to life insurance, when people say they need to think about it, it's usually because of a couple different reasons. Okay. They don't understand. Maybe you didn't explain it well enough. Maybe they're concerned about the price. Maybe they're just nervous to make a decision because they don't buy life insurance very often. Or maybe they don't trust you. And that's right, probably the biggest thing right there. They don't trust you. And to build that trust, we did this the other day, went into the no why, no buy. They don't have a reason to buy. Okay. I think a lot of us want to hurry up and get to the end of the sale. Yes, we all want to make the sale, but if you're getting these objections, then we didn't do our job right. Okay. We did not go through and build the why. We didn't build the value. They don't see the need of it like they're supposed to. And it becomes just a transactional process as opposed to an emotional type sale. Okay. So let's go over a couple of these together. Not understanding the product, not understanding what they're actually going to get and what it's going to do for them. That's something important. So make sure that when you're in the process is that you're building that value so they understand what it's going to actually do and actually spend the money of the policy like we talked about before. Now, if they're concerned about the price, chances are they're probably not going to say anything. Okay. They don't want to say, well, I can't afford it. It's $80 a month. Yeah, I just want to think about it. And usually maybe a lot of times it is the price. Okay. If you did everything else, if you built the value, then maybe it's not the price. Okay. Or maybe it is the price. It's hard to say. So the other thing too is being nervous making a decision. This is a decision they got to make they want to be comfortable making that decision. They don't want to just flat out, buy something that they don't even understand what it's about, what it's going to do. But if you explained it thoroughly with these people, okay, and you built the value, they trust you, and then it's easier to make that decision. Now, you might say in your head, okay, well, I sent them my business card, they wrote down my information, and then you didn't really build the value, but you think that they trust you now because they saw a business card. That's not building trust. That's just the very beginning part of building trust with that client. Obviously, the why, the value that you're going to be putting it within that policy, we need to be able to build enough value to where everything else is no big deal. Okay. All the other objections are just going to go away. Now it's just, what do I got to do now to get this taken care of? That's where we need to get these clients at. Every single one of them. They shouldn't be nervous about making the decision. They shouldn't, we're not asking them to trust us, completely, but enough to be able to make the sale. Right. A lot of people want to talk to somebody else too as well, but that's why they want to think about it because they want to they just really they don't want to make the decision right then and there. They want the time to actually think about it. And it's because of those reasons alone. So not understanding, maybe they are concerned about the price and the payment, and maybe they are nervous and maybe they are not trusting you. And those are things that we can overcome. Okay. So I think during the process, we can really just eliminate a lot of objections. Like I said, the very beginning is when the objections are going to start. Usually for me, I make sure if there's an objection coming through, I'm going to nip that completely immediately. I want every objection. They might still have objections down the road. That's okay. But it'll be easier to overcome those if you get rid of the first objection. If you don't overcome that first objection, then all of a sudden it's another one. Then they start questioning you, and then there's your credibility. So make sure that first part of it is eliminating all objections immediately if you can. Okay. We don't want them to say, think about it. So as far as that goes, The next one is another big one. Okay. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to talk to my kids. Personally, the talk to the kids thing, I think is bullshit. Okay. Talk to the spouse, maybe, but there's a way to get around that at the very, very beginning. Okay. Who's going to be the beneficiary? Well, it's going to be my spouse. Perfect. Does she need to be involved in this? No. Are you sure? I mean, some guys are just, they have their pride. They're going to be like, I don't need to talk to my spouse. I can make the decisions. Dig a little bit deeper when it comes to that. That eliminated this type of objection that's going to come through too. So are you sure? Is she there with you? Okay. Where is she at? Let's get her involved. Does she need to be involved? She probably does. Okay. At some point in time. So that part right there, try and nip that right away. Where is Mary at, Tom? Is she there with you? No, she's not here. Are you sure you can make decisions? Are you the man of the house? Yes, yes, yes. I question that all the time because at the very end, he might bring it up again, and you don't want to get into an argument after he brings it up again and say, well, you told me earlier that. Just nip it, completely nip that in the bud. Okay. So I need to talk to my spouse. Now, that goes back to the first objection. That's just an excuse because maybe they are concerned about the price. Okay. Maybe they are concerned about thinking they have to pay today. Maybe they're concerned about, maybe they just don't understand. Maybe you didn't explain the product thoroughly. Maybe you didn't build the why enough. Maybe you didn't build enough value. So that objection, those can also be taken care of with that objection too as well. But if you do get that objection and you didn't overcome it at the very beginning, which I don't get that objection very often. Okay. I nip it right away. Do you need to talk to anybody else? Even if it's a lady, do you need to talk to your husband? Oh, okay. Well, he passed away. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Find out what's going on. Okay. Does everybody need to be involved? Kids, again, I'll get into that in just a second. I think that's a big smoke screen, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if you do get that objection again, need to talk to my spouse. Well, Tom, you know Mary better than I do, and at this point, you should know how long they've been married. Okay, you should know, maybe where they met, all that stuff. You've been married to Mary for 52 years, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, you know her better than anybody. What would she tell you if you walked up to her and said, "Hey, I got a life insurance policy to protect you to make sure," and then go back to all the why and all the value that you built with this. You told me earlier you wanted to make sure that she has enough money to take care of the burial, the final expenses, leave extra money for her because part of the income's going away. Remember all that stuff, Tom? And again, this is not an argument. It's just going back over the stuff that he already told you. So if you told Mary all this stuff that you want to protect her, what do you think she's going to say? Oh, she'd probably say, okay. Okay, well, there's your answer. Let's move on to the next step and just move on. We don't want to get into any type of arguments with these people about objections. Okay. Quick overcoming it and be done. Move on to the next part. I think a lot of agents like to argue with people. Well, you told me earlier that you didn't need to talk to Mary and you were the man of the house, right? Well, yeah, that's more argumentative. So just lightly go over it again and get rid of it. And again, the more you overcome the very first part of the objections in the conversation, the better off you are and the easier it's going to get when you have to overcome the next objection that comes through. But personally, that spouse, you can get rid of that right away. Absolutely. Or get them involved. Is Mary there? Well, yeah, she's in the other room. Go grab her real quick because she's going to be involved. I promise you, 9 times out of 10, she's going to be involved. Go grab her real quick. I'll wait. Bring her over here. Hey, Mary. Yeah, I just want to introduce myself. You know what else I do? I take it a step further because Mary's coming in halfway through the conversation, right? She's not all the way in this. Tom's already been talking to us for 10, 15, 20 minutes. I say, Mary, you got your cell phone number? I think I got it right here. I'm going to text you my digital business card as well. Okay, just so you know who I am. It's required by the state of Florida. I send Mary the information to make her just as involved. That way, when it comes to decision making, she's not just coming in halfway through and trying to figure this out. Okay, and then all she thinks right now is, okay, well, he's over getting life insurance. He didn't even tell me about it. And now it's $80 a month. Like, no, Tom, no, let's just talk about it. No, get her involved and start over. Start building rapport. You know about their family already. If she comes in halfway through, oh, so you guys have 3 kids and you got like 8 grandkids. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And start talking to Mary, almost like you start a brand new conversation. Okay. So don't bring her in halfway and expect her just to do what you think Tom's going to do. Okay. So make sure that's important too as well. So when it comes to the spouse, get them involved. That's the thing I got to say. If they're around, get them involved. If they're not, make sure that they are going to be able to make that decision by themselves. Okay. That's important. The next one, I think a lot of us struggle with, and a lot of us talk about this, is getting the Social Security number. Okay. I personally don't get it. Yes, I've got it probably 1 out of the last 100 people. But I think a lot of us are getting the Social Security objection because you're asking too soon. And then it goes back to the very beginning of what I told you guys earlier. It's not building value, finding out the why, making sure that they understand everything. If you get to the Social Security number and they're like giving you, giving you trouble with it at that point, then you know you didn't do something in there. Okay, they should just rattle it right off. And the way to get the Social Security number is making sure you build the value, making sure they know what they're doing. Okay, we're going to get a policy. That's part of what we're doing right now. We're getting a policy and getting you approved for life insurance. Let's don't beat around the bush and act like we're doing something else. Okay, we're selling them a life insurance policy. So let's don't beat around the bush. I don't give out my social. They shouldn't say that. The way I prep my people for it is I ask them the same way I ask for the zip code. What's your zip code? Oh, it's 32785 or whatever it is. Okay. And then I come to the social part of it. Obviously, in the most applications, I'll skip that first to get more. The more information you're getting, the less personal information, the better off you are of getting that social. So I get the address. I get, of course, their name. Do they want to put a middle initial on their policy? Where do they want the policy sent to? The address, all the rest of the information. And then I say, okay, looks like Tom, you got your. I go over their full name, like I can read the whole thing here. Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. Okay. And what's your social? Okay. Yes. Okay. Got that. So I do it very, very subtle. Now there's this part of the script that a lot of you have that I've been throwing in. Okay. Right before I ask for the social. Now, perfect. Okay. Before I continue with the rest of everything here, I will disclose that all of your personal health information is protected under HIPAA privacy laws, just like when you go to the doctor's office. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, perfect. Now, you said you're a U.S. citizen, right? You're born in Louisiana? Perfect. All right, what's your social? If you have to use that, I've been adding it in just to kind of just add a little bit more, but just very subtle. But if you guys are getting the Social Security objections all the time, use that. Okay, make sure you have that objection or that phrase in there of, okay, before I continue, I have to disclose this. And I've been making kind of a big deal. Before I disclose everything, all your personal and health information is protected under HIPAA privacy laws, just like when you go to the doctor's office. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, let me check the box, make sure I'm compliant. Boom. Okay. And you said you're born in Louisiana? Yes. Okay. And you're a U.S. citizen? Yes. Okay. And what's your social? Boom. Just as natural as possible. If you start beating around the bush and being like, all right, Tom, here's the part where you're probably not going to like it. Okay. But I'm about to ask you some really personal information. Or if you just, if you have it set up that way, they're not going to give it to you. They're just not going to give it to you. Okay. I promise you. If somebody got all weird with me when they're getting ready to get the social, like I'm going to be like, well, what do you need that for? Like that's why you get that objection. What are you going to need that for? What do you mean? We're doing an application. Like, this is part of the process. So make it very, very easy for that client to give you what they need. Okay. Now, next one is banking information. Okay. Again, all the same objections, everything I talked about earlier. When it comes to people saying, I'm not going to give you the bank information. Okay. You haven't built enough value. They don't know what they're buying. I mean, here's the thing, guys. If they're not giving you bank information, like you're getting a freaking policy. Okay. This is how they're going to take payments out on a monthly cycle. If you're getting bank information or objections, they don't know what they're getting. They don't know what they're buying. Like we are in the end of purchasing a life insurance policy to protect your family and all the stuff that we talked about the last 30, 40, 50 minutes we've been talking on the phone. Now it's the step where you're going to pay for it. Did you think it was free? No, it's not free. The bank information should be just as easy as getting the rest of it. Okay. Just as easy as getting the zip code, getting their middle initial, as opposed to getting the social security number, the bank information. It's all the same shit. Nothing's different about any of it. So yes, we're buying a life insurance policy. This is the end process and we're going to be done. So if you are getting that objection, you got to back up. If you're getting it a lot, back up again and go through all the things and make sure and spend more time with your client. Okay. Spend more time building the value, building the rapport, making sure they, can trust you as much as possible we're on a phone call. So yes, this person's giving you all the information, including a bank information that we're going to charge them for the rest of their freaking life. We got to do something. We got to dig deep with these people before we even ask for that information. So when it comes to banking information, make it easy. Okay. And you know what? At the very beginning, I get that information. So you get the banking discount. Okay. You said you bank with the Navy Credit Union. Okay. I already have them pulled up. All right, Tom, let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. You said you use Navy Credit Union, right? I got the routing number for it. Go ahead and grab your bank information so I can verify the routing. and then just stop. Don't be all weird again when you ask for the social. Like, all right, Tom, here's the last part where we're going to be asking for bank information here in just a few minutes. No, when you're ready to ask it, get it, shut it down, and be done. Like, this is the last part of the process. This should only take a few minutes, and then you're done. Okay. So when you get that bank information, or when he goes to go get it, all right, Tom, I got the routing number here. Read it off to him. Okay, what's the account number? Like, I'll read it off to him. Okay, what's the account number? Boom. Okay. And then I'm going to go over, we decide payment's going to come out in 1 to 3 business days, and it's going to be every 11th of the month. Cool. Cool. Perfect. I'm going to send you a text to verify the last signature to finalize the policy. Done. Like, that's easy as that. And if you make it easy, it will be easy. I promise you. If you make it hard, it's going to be hard. Okay. So I think a lot of us just think too much about all this stuff. And it's like, well, maybe you guys don't want to give out your social. Maybe you guys don't want to give out your bank information. We all don't just hand it out to everybody. But if I'm buying something, if I'm going to get a car, if I'm going to buy a house, if I'm applying for a credit card, all this shit is needed. Every bit of it is needed for this. Anytime you buy anything, I'm trying to get my car insurance, whatever you're getting, they're going to ask for all this information, and it's not a big deal. Okay. That's how we have to do this. So just to recap everything that I talked about, needing to think about it. Obviously, the number one thing about that, making sure the trust and the why is there. Okay. Making sure the value is in there. Okay. So nobody has to say they're thinking about it. The next one is talking to the spouse. Nip that thing immediately in the bud. Okay. Find out where that spouse is. Is the spouse around? Are they there? Get them involved and go for that. Social security number should be easy. Okay. If you're getting a lot of those, you got to back up for a minute. And here's the other thing too. When you're getting these objections, any objections with selling life insurance, you don't want to get into an argument with the person. You're not going to win. I promise you. You're not going to get an argument because you ask for the social, and all of a sudden you get an argument with them about, well, this is so I can get it for the, you're protected by the HIPAA, and I'm not going to mess with your information. I'm not taking your information, I'm not doing nothing with it. Like, you're not going to win. I promise you, you're not going to win. They're not going to, I've never had anybody have that objection overcame like that and have a little bit of argument. And then they're like, okay, fine, I'll give it to you. Fine, I'll give you the bank information. No, they're not going to do it. They're going to not do it. I promise you. Okay. So don't argue. Make sure that you ask them, like, no big deal. If they don't want to give the social, yeah, no big deal. I mean, if you got to that point and you really don't know what to do, you know what? Not a big deal. Here, you know what? I'm going to go over something that's actually more important than your social. Go back to the product again. If you have to resell it, then resell it. If you didn't do it the first time, okay? Go back and be like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about something that's actually a little bit more important than getting the social. The policy we're doing, and go over the benefits again, go over the value, what it's going to do for their family, and then come back to that a little bit later. Okay, now I'm just going to verify this last thing here to do the app, because if they don't think they're doing an application to purchase a life insurance policy, you're not going to sell it. Okay, they have to be clear as day that we are filling out an application to buy life insurance. Okay, that's what we're doing right now. So you're going to give me your social, your bank information, and that's how they're going to charge you every month. Period. That's how you do it. And I think a lot of objection handling has a lot to do with us. Okay, if I got a fucked up mindset that day and I want to argue with somebody, I'm not going to make any sales. If I get to that point, I'm like, oh, this guy, nobody wants to give me a social. That's how my day went. Nobody gave me a bank information. Nobody gave me a social. Nobody gave me the shit. Well, you know what? It's not the people. I promise you, it's not our clients. They put in a request. They called in from the phone number on the TV, or they filled out an application online. They want life insurance. They're not buying because of you, okay? Or me, whatever. If I'm having a shitty day, then they're not going to buy because of mindset and attitude, 100%. If you got a good attitude, you're rolling through, and you're writing policies. Isn't it weird how we write another one, then the next day is another one, and then all of a sudden you have a crappy day, and then it's like, shit, man, I have 2 crappy days in a row. Now I got 3 crappy days in a row. It's like 4. I mean, it's just and that's the hardest thing to learn when it comes to this job, is trying to get your mindset right and trying to get your attitude correct. Even though you're like, no, I did everything right. I felt good about that call. Probably coming off the wrong way. It's probably just not coming out like you think it is. So take a step back. If you're not making any sales, you get all these objections, go back to yourself. Go back to your mindset. Go back to your attitude. Because let me just tell you one last thing, you guys. I'm going to wrap this up. I personally think that this job is not hard. I think it's easy, okay? I think I could bring somebody in that knows nothing about life insurance, hand them a script, hand them somebody who wants to buy life insurance, go through the script. Maybe they won't sell the first one or the second or the third, but if I give them a whole freaking list of leads, I promise you, if they did everything I just show them how to do, they will write policies. So there's no reason why all of us don't write a policy a day if we're actually working. That makes sense. Okay. So this is not very, it's not hard. It's just an easy job. And once you get your skill down and figure out how to, these objections that you're getting from these people, your job becomes easier and it's easier to make a sale no matter what. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. You guys got any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm like a baby into this field or whatever, and I'm trying to get the person to stay on the phone, and I just keep getting people hung up. I know I do have some aged leads right now. Do you have any suggestions that I should do to kind of get them to stay on the phone long enough to
Yes,
kind of go over stuff?
absolutely. So let's do this, Lova, okay? Because I don't know what you're doing on the phone. I haven't heard you. I'll be your client for, let's do a 30-second role play, okay?
Okay.
Hello.
Well, I'm driving right now. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Lova calling you about the information you filled online about life insurance.
Click. Okay, hold on.
Um,
Hold on,
okay.
Lova. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but let me just stop you there because I don't
Yeah.
want you to keep going and keep doing something that's not working, okay? First thing you want to do is, hey, Lova. That's it. Hey, Lova. If you're doing an outbound call, hey, Lova, get my attention first, okay? Yeah? Hey, Lova, this is Jason getting back to you about that life insurance you requested. You put down Billy as your beneficiary. Is that right? Yep.
All
Okay.
right, perfect. Oh,
So,
okay. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. My
oh,
phone froze up.
okay. I'll start over. So the first part, you have to do this. Okay. Hey, Lova,
Okay.
role play with me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Lova.
Hey.
Hey, Lova, this is Jason getting back to you
Hello?
about that. Yeah. Hey, Lova, this is Jason getting back to you about that request for life insurance. Looks like you put Billy as your beneficiary. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm the head underwriter here in Florida. I was assigned to handle your eligibility and approval. So that first part right there, I heard you say, "Hi, this is Lova, getting back to you about," and you didn't give me a chance to even answer like who I am. You're not sure who you're talking to yet. So first, whoever that person is, if it's
Mm-hmm.
Tom, hey Tom, get his attention first. Hey Tom, hey Tom, it's Jason. Get back to you about that life insurance you requested, and do it like that first. Okay. So don't say hi, how are you,
Okay.
how's your day going? Eliminate all that part. Now I'm not sure what script you have, but if you're doing outbound calls, that's the easiest way to get their attention. Okay. Yes, you're still going to get people to hang up on you, and that's okay. But you just got to go through a lot of them. But to catch, if you're losing
Okay.
the very that first 30 seconds, if you're losing them, try it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I
Here,
will.
do it again with me,
All
Lola.
right.
Go ahead. Here, do it again real quick. Hello.
Hi, this is Lova. Hello. Wait a minute. I done got all
Hey Jason. Just say hey
discombobulated. Okay.
Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go, hey, Jason, this is Lova calling
No, no,
about
no,
that.
no, no. Say, hey, Jason, then let me answer first.
Okay. Hey, Jason.
Yeah,
Hey, this is Lova giving you a call back about that final expense you requested online.
much better. There you go. Do it like that. And then go into the rest of your
Okay.
script. So that first part, you
Okay.
catch the attention of them first. Like, hey, and don't say, try and keep your voice more monotone as opposed to being like, hey, Jason, like, hey, how are you? Ready
Okay.
to sell you something. Like almost like you
Okay.
have important information to give them that now they're listening. Like, hey, Lova, do it
Okay.
like that. Okay. Hopefully that helps
Okay.
out.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else got any?
I got one about I know it shouldn't happen too often, but like with if someone was like, if you got their social and then you're like, the routing number is this, go ahead with the account number. And they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to give that out. How far would you go back? Like, what would you go back and say?
If you're getting that objection of the banking information and you've gone all the way through the whole entire process, sometimes it's hard to go back. But instead of just losing the phone call, yeah, I mean, obviously go back, say, well, hold on a second, let me back up for a second. I got one more question before I get that bank information and go back to something else. I mean, usually when we're at the banking information, they're buying a policy. Like that's where they are. Like this is to if they don't want to give it to you, I mean, they gave you the social, that means they're still not completely comfortable with what we're saying in the product. And the trust is, even though they trust you enough to give the social, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Now it's like, this is my bank account. This is where my money goes into, and this is where, stuff comes out of. So that's even more important to them than it is a social. So it's a trust factor. So spend more time with your client, spend more time with the value, spend more time finding out what it is, their why, all the meat of the policy. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of us try and skip a lot of those steps that are really important, which is going to be that first part of it, and finding out why they're actually doing this and what the policy is going to do for them, how it's going to help their family, how it's going to do all of that. So if you feel like you're getting that more often than not, Trent, then spend more time on that why. Spend more time on the value. Okay. That's where you need to spend more time.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it much, but I have gotten it before.
Okay. Perfect. Just I'd spend, I mean, if you're trying to ask somebody, if you're at the end, that's the end of the sale. Okay. Sometimes look at your clock. If you're 30 minutes in, okay, and or 25 minutes in, it's probably too soon to be like shutting that deal down. Okay. You got to be like 30, 45 minutes in to be like really building that rapport with these people. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, I've sold a policy in 30 minutes before, and I've built it up enough value for them to do it. But even when I do that short of a policy and that short time frame, I'm gonna spend maybe another extra 5 or 10 minutes at the very end and talk a little bit more, and making sure that's all buttoned up and what the policy is going to do, and just recapping everything to make sure they're going to keep that policy as opposed to just making that quick decision. But I think some people maybe are just ready to roll, and we maybe lucked out in that part of it too as well. But yeah, just try and build more value, so you don't get that bank objection at all. We shouldn't be getting any bank objections at all. If we're asking for somebody the bank information, like I personally don't think we should be getting any of that. Like we're at the end here. They should know that they're buying a policy that's going to be a monthly payment that they're going to pay until they pass away.
Right.
Hopefully that helps out, Trent. Anybody else got anything?
I just want to say that sometimes you really got to, at the very beginning, also solidify your credentials, because a lot of people just pass by, oh, I'm going to give you my license number. Oh, I don't have a pen. Oh, okay. And just keep going. That's a really big excuse to not give banking or social when you've already built the why and gone through it. So just make sure that you guys are doing that. Like I said, I always send my license. Like I send my license, so
Yep.
they can see I'm registered.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I believe that's very, very important to do that. But I think that building the rapport and building the why and value is way more important than everything else. Because
For sure.
I have
For sure, yeah.
I've given out my information, and I mean, I've had people tell me, well, how do I know it's you? That could be somebody else. Yeah, most people don't do that, but some people will do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, more than anything, when you talk to these people like a real person and talk to them about their kids, tell them about your family, tell them about your experiences, ask them the questions, and have them involved in this entire conversation, things just go smoother all the way around. You know. Anybody else?
I've got next to my licenses on my little page, my cheat sheet I've got so I can give out my state licenses. I have a lookup number for each state too, like a website. So now haven't had particular success with that, but just for what it's worth, you can always just have that website ready to hand to them along with your license number so that they can look you up. But
Yep. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I haven't had really anybody ever go on the website and be like, okay, let me look you up. Now we're good to go. Like the meat of this whole sale, it comes from somewhere else. That first part, yes, we want to tell them who we are, but the way they're going to trust you and buy from you is in the middle of that policy and in that why and that value you built and everything else that goes with it. That's where the trust is coming in at. I mean, sending somebody a quick little thing that anybody can make online or whatever, the way people think nowadays, it's good. I think it's good. I do it every time, but I think that's probably that middle part is very important to do. Absolutely. Okay, anybody else? Nothing else?
Transamerica's down for what it's worth.